Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, we're going to react to 10 times horrible students faced justice. Horrible students. To be honest, when I think back to my time at university and secondary school, there were definitely students who, were just not nice people. Whether it's because maybe they had harsh upbringings or they were just nasty people. There are people out there who genuinely don't have a nice disposition. They just by default are nasty. I've had the mispleasure of bumping into people like that, crossing paths with people like that, and you just immediately you get a vibe from them that they're just not warm. They're not, it's just so it's always good when people like that just, they get their due. At the end of the day, if you're not a nice person, you don't have to kind of inflict that nastiness on other people. And if you do, you should get punished for it.
The judge considers the 20-year-old a highly dangerous threat to anyone around him.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're examining 10 times horrible students face justice.
This is someone you need to put away. He's going to do this again.
For this list, we'll be looking at infamous moments of students who committed evil acts against fellow pupils or faculty staff and received major legal repercussions. What was your school or college's biggest story while you attended there? Let us know below. Colton Batoniak and Laura Hall.
Why did this happen, and how could it happen?
In August 2005, Jennifer Cave was excited. After attending 2 Texan colleges before dropping out, she just started a job at a legal firm and was going to celebrate one night. But after she failed to show up for work the next day, her remains were found in the apartment belonging to her friend, Colton Batoniak.
Prosecutors argued he was a drug dealer and a gun-toting tough guy who killed Cave after a night of heavy partying. But his parents and lawyers have long maintained his innocence.
However, the University of Texas at Austin student had fled to Mexico along with his ex-girlfriend Laura Hall. Regardless, they were soon tracked down by the authorities.
At his trial, Patoniak testified that he had been in an alcohol and drug-induced stupor the night of Jennifer Cave's death. He says it was an accident.
In 2007, Batoniak was convicted for Cave's slaying, earning himself 55 years in jail, while Hall received 6 years for tampering with evidence.
After hearing her sentence, Laura Hall cried quietly and sat stiffly at the defense table.
However, after a resentencing in 2010, she received 11 years and was released in 2018. Brandon Thies.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. Why did she get such a light sentence? I don't understand that. Like, why did it have to take retrialing her for her to get, a proper punishment? Like that poor girl, like she's gone forever.
Her sorority sisters call her the brightest light.
In 2019, a patrolling deputy came across a horrible scene at an old fishing camp at Sardis Lake, Mississippi, finding the body of Alexandra Castile.
She just wanted to live life to the fullest.
As the police began the investigation, the name of Castile's fellow University of Mississippi student and romantic interest, Brandon Thies, came up multiple times. Previously, Castile had informed him about an inconclusive pregnancy test, and Thies wasn't happy, as evidenced by his texts. He avoided meeting her for a long time. Then one night, Thies took Castile to the camp and shot her multiple times.
He was arrested 2 days after the body of Ali Castile was found near a lake. It's about 30 miles away from the university they both attended.
Later, it was discovered that Castile wasn't pregnant. In 2021, Thies pleaded guilty and received a life sentence without the possibility of parole.
It's extremely sad that this has occurred. Our prayers and thoughts are with the Constable family and with the Thesfield family.
George Hughley.
It's honestly crazy what some people, even teenagers, will do. Like if they think they're in a bind, in a bad situation, the lengths that they'll go to try and get themselves out of it. He thought by killing her, Wow.
On the surface, Yardley Love and George Hughley appeared to be a good match. The couple attended the University of Virginia and played for the Cavaliers lacrosse teams.
But under that veneer, trouble was brewing. And although the university says it knew nothing of his brushes with the law, a rap sheet was growing.
But weeks before they graduated in 2010, with the relationship over, Love's body was found in her apartment. After hearing accounts of Hughley's drinking issues, rage about the breakup, he was brought in for questioning.
Probable cause existed for us to take him into custody
and obtain warrants for his arrest.
In 2012, Hughley was found guilty of Love's murder and sentenced to 23 years in jail.
There's nothing but loss everywhere. Our hearts go out to the Love family. They've suffered enormously.
In 2022, Hughley faced a wrongful death lawsuit from Love's family. The jury ruled against Hughley, and he had to pay $15 million in damages.
Wow.
Philip Kism.
But I mean, he probably doesn't have 15 million. Like, what happened in that situation? I'm guessing all of his assets are seized and sold, but he's probably got nowhere near that amount of money.
This is someone you need to put away. He's going to do this again.
In 2013, teenager Philip Kism, a pupil at Danvers High School, Massachusetts, was asked to stay behind by math teacher Colleen Ritzer. But when she left the classroom to use the restroom, Chisholm followed. There, he fatally attacked and assaulted her.
No.
Multiple times, he left the scene to get rid of the evidence and changed his clothing. At one point, Chisholm returned with a wheelie bin.
And just after prosecutors rested their case, the first mention of a motive.
And the Commonwealth's suggestion is that this was a sexually motivated homicide.
He placed Ritzer inside and left her body in the woods. He even stole her credit cards and used them. Chisholm was arrested soon after, and his bag filled with evidence was discovered.
He is pure evil, and evil can never be rehabilitated.
In 2016, being tried as an adult, Chisholm was sentenced to life in prison. Theodore Streleski.
Jeez, dude. Just because you had detention? Because she gave you detention? Oh, man.
In 1978, graduate mathematics student Theodore Streleski had been working on his PhD for 19 years at Stanford University with his faculty advisor, Professor Carol DeLelu. But then, he walked into DeLelu's office and fatally attacked him with a ball-peen hammer. Afterwards, Streleski attempted to justify his actions by claiming he did it to protest how the university treated its students. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison. After getting out in 1985 and being readmitted for breaking parole conditions, Streleski spoke to the press and told them he had no remorse for what he did. When asked about committing a similar offense, he responded, "I can't predict the future." Frederick Martin Davidson.
I mean, dude, lock him back up.
1996, Frederick Martin Davidson was called to a meeting to defend his master's engineering thesis at San Diego State University. With the room containing 3 students as witnesses and 3 associate and assistant professors, the hearing had barely started when Davidson approached the first aid box and pulled out a firearm he had stashed there previously. Letting the students leave, Davidson fatally shot Chen Liang, O. Preston Lowry III, and Konstantinos Laurensis before giving himself up to the police. He reportedly believed the engineering department was against him, and that's why they rejected his thesis once before. In 1997, as part of a plea deal to avoid capital punishment, Davidson received 3 consecutive life sentences without the chance of parole. Zhu Haiyang. In January 2009, Yang Jin moved from China to study for a master's at Virginia Tech. Looking to settle in, she reached out to other Chinese students at the university and met doctoral student Zhu Haiyang. In a short amount of time, he became obsessed with her. One day, after Zhu admitted his feelings, Yang turned him down as she was dating someone and planned to marry him. With the rejection, Zhu wrote an obsessive letter in his dorm. The following evening, Zhu met Yang at a cafe on campus. He viciously attacked her in public with a knife, causing her demise only 2 weeks after she arrived at the school. Zhu pleaded guilty to murder and received a life sentence in 2010.
Wow. Dude, you couldn't handle, like... Oh, my word. I feel so bad for her. You couldn't handle the rejection? Find somebody else. She was taken. Oh, my... Okay.
Timur Bekmanzarov. In 2021, staff and students at Perm State University in Russia were going about their days. But then, Timur Bekmanzarov, who had planned something horrible, approached the grounds with a firearm. Beforehand, he spoke on social media with threats and dreams of committing horrendous violence. During his rampage, Bekmanzarov fatally shot 6 and injured 47 as people did their best to escape and protect themselves.
Local media identified the gunman as an 18-year-old who'd earlier posted an unverified photo of himself on social media, posing with a rifle, helmet, and ammunition.
After a shootout with the police, Bekmanzarov was injured, so much that he had lost half his leg, but he survived. In 2022, Bekmanzarov pled guilty to the attack, but asked not to get life imprisonment. The court ignored his request. Joseph Henry. In 1986, Jean clearly slept in her dormitory at Lehigh University.
When you guys were at college or university, did you ever meet anybody that you just immediately got like really bad vibes from? You know, just there was just something about them that you just Yeah, like there was one guy in first year of university. He lived at the top floor. Very odd. One time he took a dump in the hallway, and he just left it in the middle of the hallway up there. Like somebody could smell it, and that's how everybody because this was in a halls, like a kind of like a big dorm where loads of students lived. I lived there, and the smell, it was just, he was weird.
University in Pennsylvania. However, she was woken as fellow student Joseph Henry was in the process of stealing from her and her roommate. Henry proceeded to attack, assault, and fatally strangle Cleary.
Jean was asleep in her bed when he came in to her room.
In 1987, Henry was sentenced to capital punishment for his brutal crime. In 2002, after the execution sentence was thrown out, Henry agreed to forego appeals in exchange for a life sentence. After this grim crime, Cleary's family was angry that the university had hidden the rising crime wave around them. They petitioned to have universities participate in a program where they have to disclose crime statistics on and around their campuses. This is now known as the Cleary Act.
The goal of it is to make parents, students, prospective
aware.
employees aware of crimes in or around campus, and that you have policies and procedures around emergency notification and timely warning if there's a current or ongoing threat to the community.
It's a great idea. I'd want to know, if I was a parent, if the university that I was sending my kid to was like a crime zone.
We continue. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Joseph M. Mesa Jr. In 2000, Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C., a school for those with hearing impairments, was rocked by the brutal slaying of student Eric Plunkett in his dorm room.
Eric's mother, Kathleen Cornelius, and his stepfather, Chris, are inconsolable.
On top of this, cash and debit cards were taken. In 2001, another student, Benjamin Werner, was viciously stabbed and robbed. Not long after, Joseph M. Mesa Jr., a friend to both, handed himself in to the police for the slayings.
He kind of knew
Why?
it was all closing in. When he saw the noose was tightening, he gave it all up.
Mesa found himself in court in 2002. After pleading not guilty due to insanity and seeing that rejected, Mesa was sentenced to 2 life terms without parole.
Oh, man. Shocking stuff. Man, I mean, it's crazy that teenagers, young people at the start of their life, you know, who should be full of hope, excitement, can do stuff like this. It's shocking to me. You know, when I was at uni, I was too busy partying, you know, having fun, like just, you know, living life. When I look back, I just think I was just so happy back then. It was such a great time. And to think there's, you know, people out here killing people, you know, I think a lot of these people they had that darkness in them. Some people do, some people don't. You know, to be capable of taking a life because you know you don't want to be a father, or you know somebody's rejected you romantically, to take their life. Wow. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.